I'm in this Oval Office.
Trump's not the Antichrist.
Whoa.
Well, you have an
Musk
echo.
is.
I don't know. He's just Space Hitler. That's like not even that exciting, really.
Who, me?
Yo, Andreas, you feeling homesick yet?
I mean, what? Hey, but Maitland's with us. Good to see
Hey.
you, Maitland.
Yeah, you caught me right at the right time. I got on the train and like I was talking to you, and so here I am. I have nothing to say. I have no idea what we're talking about. So I mean,
you look like a 1970s caveman cartoon right now.
I'm trying to. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think I look pretty as y'all do.
Maitland used to be the prettiest one of us, but then he lived in Los Angeles for so long. It does
No.
things to you.
Did Los Angeles make me ugly?
I wouldn't say you're ugly. I mean, you just definitely look like a haggard Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's not much
cartoon
better.
character.
Yeah, no, it's because I twisted my leg in Portland. I was jumping over a fence with some chick, and like I landed on a rock and twisted my leg, and so I've been like lugging my bags like an old bag lady, like through San Diego because Google came to the I was staying at the Marriott, and like then Google came and it became $400 a night, so like I had to go to the Motel 6 because it's like you know what I mean, like
working with for people.
I know, right? I know.
In Japan, it's like normal to just pass out overnight. Apparently, if you're just fucked up, you miss the train.
I've heard of that. It's normal in LA too. Like I did that in LA too, but I didn't like it. Like, because I missed. And then I went to San Diego because I thought I was going to Alabama from San Diego, but that's not what you do. But nobody can tell you how to get to Alabama except you.
Nobody can tell you.
You do go from LA to Alabama. That's how you get there. You go to New Orleans and then you go to Alabama. So if anybody wondered,
to Georgia, okay,
that's how you do it.
Handsome.
Hey, I actually have that. I have that jacket still.
Well,
so that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Make it and survive. Let me know if
Andreas,
it's
you're coming in kind of low.
Low? Is this better? I just turned it up a bit. Is this a lot better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Much better.
Okay.
I'm like
so
trying to be mostly hair right now.
Yeah, I get it. So Los Angeles uses AI to spy on the homeless. Did you guys know this?
Oh, obviously, like Santa Cruz uses AI to spy on the homeless. Like they learned it from Santa Cruz.
Up to now?
No, like they learned it. They learned it from Santa Cruz, dude. When you told me to go to Malibu, like during COVID, that was advice that somebody's given me that I never took. Like, and I feel like
the lives of the homeless.
Oh man, but I didn't know why. Like, and that was the first time I've ever really like been. I call it being a forest creature. Like I went forest creature mode because I didn't understand what it was like, and there were no people anywhere. So it was just like, oh, okay. Like I lost these, like there's nowhere to go. I'm going to sleep in the forest over there and be a forest creature. But oh man, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. And like that's all they do is like they got AI drones and they spy on people outside and they use it for like all sorts of things, like cartoons, like people watch this shit because they don't have any like ideas, so they get their ideas from looking at this. Stuff.
They get somebody like on Crocodile or something like that, and they're like falling over and bouncing up and all this. And they animate it into a cartoon. Is that what you're telling me?
I saw this article.
Yeah, they just all around interesting people outside, and they started it really. They didn't start it during COVID, but like it became like a big thing during COVID. And
yeah, to stabilize, not to stigmatize. They're saying not to stigmatize homeless. They're just following everyone all around, and then they might like have a drone follow one guy for a week, have another drone come and replace that drone. I mean, they seriously are keeping tabs on clans and groups and how they walk around, how they move around Los Angeles. They're following them from one encampment to one beach.
It's just like it's John.
These are the Chinese.
Caught on. It's like John Wick, dude. It's real life. It's real life John Wick.
Or like what do you call that? What was that with what's his name? The Truman Show. It's like the Truman Show. Like everybody has their own Truman Show, but it's like people who make television watch it, like, and then you'll see yourself on television. You'll see your friends on and not just LA. Like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really been in LA that much except for on my own property. Like, but like in Santa Cruz, definitely. Like it's in Santa Cruz. Like
they have that much trouble getting ideas for Hollywood that they've got to follow homeless people around. They don't know what else.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Like it's absolutely true. And it's hilarious. It's been going on for years. Like the first time I saw myself in a cartoon, I wasn't even homeless. Like yeah, I haven't been homeless in a long time. Like it's just only for a short time, but like I was for a little while. And you then like if you're paying attention to like media at the same time, you're like, whoa, like I just saw
dude, one day I pretended to be homeless just so I could see what it was like. Like I did, like I put on like my oldest clothes with holes in them and stuff. It wasn't ethical at all.
Slumming it.
I did that once, and it's to my shame, my eternal shame, that I did.
Colin's a hipster.
I
want to hear this.
I think I was like, dude, so I was wearing like the junkiest clothes so I could look like a junkie. You know what I mean? And so I think I was like 17, and I wasn't even poor at the time. Like I wasn't hurting for anything, and this was before I was a drug addict. Like, so I just decided, like, hey, like, I want to see, like, how hard is it really to, like, so I told myself empathetically, this was like, I wanted to see, like how people treated homeless people. So I decided to go inside the mind of a homeless person in order to, like, see it through their eyes. Like, how are people going to treat me? And actually, people were very kind to me. I was like, actually, I was taken aback. I almost had tears because
17.
Yeah, bro.
Well, you know,
no one's gonna.
As my
a lot of times
they're like, oh, his parents probably raped him and like left him on the street. You know, his dad's.
Well, I could have been.
Like people will give you stuff. Like
time's
it's crazy.
tricky. I could have been
lots of stuff.
like 23. You know what I mean? But like, I made myself look as decrepit as possible.
Well, you know, as my creepy gym teacher would say, if you sleep with the dogs, you wake up with fleas. So
yeah, then there's that too.
Yeah, there's people that take advantage of people that can be taken advantage of too. But they might see like this is their, you know, that there's obviously something about you, like this poor kid does not belong here. And then they're going to give you a little bit of a benefit that not everyone else gets. I mean, usually people like don't live on the street for more than a few years before it destroys them. A lot of people die. You know, life expectancy on the streets like 5 to 10 years, less for women. You know,
any old.
Totally. There could be that. I literally rolled around in dirt. I went. I got like, there was like this dirt patch in the back of my house and on the clothes. I went and I like threw it on myself and stuff.
Your poor mother.
It for a while. Yeah.
Yo, this is all middle child syndrome. This is what happens when you're the middle child. You just get bored.
I am a middle child.
Yep. Yeah, I can tell.
Yep.
Oh my God. I remember living in Los Angeles, hanging out on Santa Monica and Venice Beach Boulevard, and after a few weeks, you end up looking away. You know what I mean? I came there in like a blazer, like a nice like gray blazer, and that with a V-neck T-shirt eventually started to look like pretty raggedy, and like you get the facial hair, and you're like, oh my God, like you're gonna get swallowed up by this place. You know? So
the thing is like we're on modern cartoons from that business. Like, have you ever seen Hamster and Gretel? There's an episode of Hamster and Gretel where like the bad guys are like all just like clones of BoJack Horseman, and they're having an outside dance party rave in a parking lot. Like, and somehow I forget how it's like I forget like even what the problem is, but Hamster and Gretel come and punch them all. And so, but it's like just like, holy shit, that's us in like 2010. Like, and they saw that shit like because we were so like out there. Like, and so we became the bad guys in Hamster and Gretel, like, and it's like no joke. Like, if you see that episode, you will crack the fuck up because, like, and in fact, like, I highly recommend that show. It's like one of the funniest shows on television right now. But like, we became the bad guys, and it's just funny that they're all BoJack Horsemen's out there in a parking lot having a rave. It's party lot.
I always thought
Like, party lot, and then they went to work at Disney.
I thought being homeless was nice, like in the book series, the Boxcar Children. You know, just a couple kids living in a train.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's like one of my that Boxcar Children is like one of my just, it's like a, what do you? They're my heroes. Like, I love that, how they're like, they don't need a refrigerator. They just, the milkman comes and like gives them milk. They put it in the brook, you know, and like the water from the stream keeps the milk cold, you know, and they have their milk from the milk because it's like the 50s or whatever.
When he says party lot,
just from the milkman.
Explain what he means. So what we used to do in Los Angeles is we would drive around with a van to random parking lots, and then we project on a wall. And back when Twitter was young, we would use SMS messaging to text people the location, which parking lot we were partying at, and then you just have a flash mob party at that parking lot. That was kind of was the point of it. Was a decent way to meet random people in Los Angeles for sure. And I remember we were friends with. Hey, you got a gem shirt, bro. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Show the shirt again.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. How I met a lot of people when I went to my party race days or whatever. And I realize now it's like that was actually a piss poor way to meet people, because I don't think I've ever really wanted to keep in contact with like all the party people that I've met over the years. Like, I think a better way to meet people would probably be to like take a class or something, a cooking class, a dancing class.
Farmers market.
It depends. So like farmers markets are kind of a cool similar thing, but I feel like Burning Man, I never expected I'd want to meet people that I would remember from Burning Man, but I would meet people that were doing art installations. And so specifically like going to a place to contribute or build your art, I think is very different.
Well, yeah, that's because you went and met real people at Burning Man instead of just like random people. You know what I mean? Like, you're a person like that because like you will go and seek out the people that are doing things and stuff like that. So you're gonna get out of the experience what you put in, right? So like when you're meeting people at parties, if your idea is you just want to go to the party and get laid and stuff, then the level, you know what I'm saying? Like, just depending on what your intentions are, like what you give, what you put in, right?
I know,
so like the quality. Yeah.
Maitland, remember that time that we were like asleep in that parking lot and then they had the Ice Age 3D movie premiere and they were building that ice sculpture of that weasel? And they had that like ice, it was like the tallest ice sculpture in history or something.
Kind of. They did a lot of stuff like, because like, I think like, did you ever go to Glow after you remember that? Like, I think that we inspired Glow. Like, they pay a lot of attention to everything in Santa Monica. Like, because they were gonna have us project on the ice skating rink, and then any boy there slipped through the meeting. Like,
you all right?
For 3 years after that, that projection. Oh, lost us there. They had projection art shows like on the beach in Santa Monica, and it was awesome. Like, there was one where they had a crane with a projector on the ground, and then they had a camera connected to the projector in the sandboxes, and so you could play with the people on the beach, and it was blown up like a million times. Like, so they had like little piece of fabric, and you could make a flying carpet, and like the people on the beach could be like on the flying carpet. Like, it was pretty awesome. But it was kind of like, it's kind of like how well, you know how like it's like we make the sand sculpture that gets washed away, but then somebody sees it and they have the wherewithal to really make the sand sculpture, but they see it while we're making it, and then they make it for real. And I feel like that happens a lot.
Well, that's a positive way to look at being spied on.
Like,
No, yeah. So Chris, just to catch you up,
that is.
We were talking about homelessness in LA and how they spy on the homeless, but it's not just LA, it's all over California. They have these crazy drone programs that have been going on since COVID. And everyone's talking about UFOs all the time. And they're like, oh, there's UFOs over LA. But all of them are these freaking weird drones. And the drones, if you want, you can look up what they are. They're in the police and the federal government agencies. They all have these aerial surveillance drones. Some of them are designed to last for like days at a time. And so they're harnessing AI not to stabilize, but in order to stabilize homelessness, not to stigmatize homelessness. And what they do is they follow people around like that live in encampments. They maybe go up in the sky a mile above their head, watch them for like a few hours, and the people go somewhere in the day. And then the drone follows them across the county. And then they see where they go and they figure out which encampments they're going from and to. And they're just following swarms of populations. They're studying the homeless, right? And how they exist if they live on the streets. And there's like hundreds of thousands of people that are homeless, like millions of people that are homeless in California, right?
Stigmatize, stabilize, sterilize.
Well, they're studying it. Is your microphone working, or are you doing the same thing to me? This is my people. This is what I have to work with.
How do I sound? How do I sound?
Yeah, you sound great. Yeah.
Great. Sound like a human being.
No, it turns out even if your plan to get away from government surveillance is to drop everything you have, that doesn't even work. You're still going to have the opposite effect. No, that just sounds creepy. I don't know what's wrong with
There's no escape.
California. Just if you want to not destigmatize homelessness, don't even call them homeless. It's like why even like what makes a
call them forest creatures? That's what I call them.
Call them roaming persons.
Call them
roaming persons.
Free range.
No, I'm not trying.
Free range human individuals.
Well, the people actually
free range individuals. But no, like our issue to try to like recategorize people. That's all.
Let's call them free agents.
Well, like why call them anything? Like if there's nothing wrong with being homeless, like what's the point of even identifying anything about the person that may or may not make them different? If
they have no privacy.
Well, what's the point of identifying a tree? If you put it that way,
Yeah, but
what's
the
point of criminalizing homelessness and then having a bunch of free slaves?
They're not making it criminal. So what they're doing is they're saying everyone has the right to exist, and so we have to give them places they have the right to exist in. So we give them public commons, and in those public commons, those are tax paid for. And then the taxpayers, they're watching everything that
and
happens.
I pay taxes.
Well, somebody does at least, right? And yeah, you do.
I pay taxes. You know what's funny though?
All right.
I have a $50,000 warrant in Santa Monica right now.
2024
for being in the park at noon, signing up for classes, and they came and gave me a ticket. But I was like, I knew why they were giving out tickets because I read the newspaper. Because I'm like, if they follow me around to try to find out what homeless people do, then they're on the wrong track because like I'm so different from all of these people that it's ridiculous. But yeah, so they gave me a ticket and I couldn't get to it because of the rains and stuff. This was about a year ago. So they gave me a ticket. Now warrant in Santa Monica for like, I literally was sitting on my skateboard in the park at noon and they gave me an encampment ticket because they knew they could, because it's the Santa Monica police and they know me.
Jesus.
Like, they've known me for a decade or more, like, and I've lived there like for the past over a decade, like mostly in a apartment even, like, but it's not even a big deal. It's kind of like
Andreas.
I forward to going to court eventually when I manage to go back to Santa Monica, which right now I'm going to Alabama, but I'll be there in a month. I'll see you with that $50,000 and I'll be like, I got a note from the neighbor that says that he hired me to wash his rims on his car. So
wait, what were you saying?
So Andreas, yeah, that's for sure. So I'm sorry. Andreas, look up on Google or whatever, DuckDuckGo, Star Trek Deep Space Nine Homeless Wars. And it sounds exactly like what's going down. And it's weird because it's the same year that they projected.
Is that when they travel back in time? I freaking remember this. I remember thinking this was crazy. They go to San Francisco and there's a wall around
it's
San
so
Francisco.
much like it. It's crazy. And it was going down today, like current day. It was, I think the date in the show was like August 6th, 2024.
Yeah. What? That's true. Totally.
Well, to be fair, the guys that are actually doing the surveilling aren't probably like, yo, we got to see like what these homeless people are. But to them, it's just like measuring traffic, you know, because like if it's a sizable population that are actually using like social facilities and whatnot and actual services, then you're going to want to track that. I mean, on average, like if you track the average person, you're probably not going to see much interesting shit. You know, it's like
I would think that was completely true. That would be completely believable.
I think what they're doing is nefarious.
That would be believable almost anywhere except for Hollywood. And I think Maitland brings up an interesting point, which is in Hollywood, these people are studying, they make movies and TV, and the people that make TV are the same ones who know how to watch this and edit and bulk this surveillance software. So it's TV people that are watching people all day. And there are a lot of people that love the idea of making television and reality television end up working in government surveillance, right? So they're probably more into this than anybody and actually like spend their time watching your life.
Yeah, but I just mean on average, like people, it's just like a closed loop, you know, like throughout the day, there's only so many places you really go, and then you just restart to a different loop the next day.
Except for homeless people, which are slightly more wild.
Yeah, man. Actually, you know what? That's a good point. Homeless people are kind of like exotic.
Like Grand Theft Auto.
There's no way that they're not doing some sort of like nefarious social engineering studies with this. Like this is like how can we look at individuals and how can they survive on the least amount possible and still be happy? Like it's going to be something like that. Like that's what they're doing, dude. No magic drugs. Come on.
There also might be some weight to the sort of psychosis that a lot of the like at least drug addicted homeless people experience. Because they're putting their consciousness into like a certain frequency, and I'm sure there are like entire dark projects that are, you know.
Oh, they're putting drugs out onto the streets too.
Oh, absolutely.
They're putting drugs out on the streets.
Absolutely.
And what they're doing, I would bet, is they're looking at these little population. I'm sorry, but I guarantee you, man, they're like injecting drugs into the population, bro, and then they're seeing how they react to them and stuff. Like, come on, dude, they're not surveilling them for nice reasons,
they
dude.
know
That's
how
all
they're
I'm saying.
React. Yeah, and then they mess with them like at a psychic level. Like, who knows if those people who are like talking to themselves and hearing voices, if there's actually something on the other end of the transceiver.
Oh, absolutely, there
having is. Joyriding
there can be. I'm not saying there is, but there can be. Like,
no, there definitely
technology
is.
Does exist. So
check this out. Okay, so I forget what the lady's name is, but his shout out, she wrote a book called Around the World on a G-String, and her son had just graduated from UCSC as a computer engineer, and he had showed her a machine that they had at UCSC that could translate brainwaves using AI into text. So yeah, there you go. That's her right there. Yeah, I met that lady, and her son had just graduated. This was in 2022 or 23. And so they had that technology then where they could read your brainwaves. And, you know, if you give somebody meth or something like that, you know what that does is just like, it makes their brainwaves like way more, it makes way more brainwaves, like more than anything. Like, cause yeah. So like, and then they can just like read people's thoughts with AI. Like it's a thing, and translate it into text. That's a thing. And they've been working on doing it with different other animals as well. So it's kind of cool technology. Like you can do it with bees, and so they have like a little beehive. Like I'm sorry, I don't have my reference for this, but they have like a little mechanical bees, and so bees like shake their butts like to make like to talk to each other, and it makes like little just like little sound waves, and they can it goes a certain amount. It's kind of like the same as it's kind of the same as how like underwater creatures use ultrasound, but it's like sonic waves, but they shake their butts, and they can like tell. They know how to tell a bee like, oh, there's like flowers over there, and then the bees will hear it, and they can do it with like a little robot, like little robot booty shaking bee. I'm not even joking.
I heard that they've been able to map like the intention of the words. This is something I heard a long time ago, so correct me if somebody else knows more about it than I do. But like they've been able to map the words, the intention of the words that you're going to use, and they've been able to compare it to so many different people that they actually know they can predict based on the brain waves that they are receiving, like from their scanners or whatever, that the most probable intended words that you're intending to say. And they can also use that for, I'm still going off of memory, but they can use that for some sort of thing where like it helps with, like in the future they'll be able to use it to make it so like people that can't speak or something like that, like they can use a machine that interprets what they're thinking into speech.
Yeah, they have all this. They have mind reading machines that can actually interpret the symbols and be like, you're thinking of a cat. Let's put a picture of a cat there.
Yo, you know what the next level up is? Like after now that they could predict that, apparently they could even upload intentions, like not even whole thoughts, you know, like that. Otherwise that would just sound like a voice in your head. Like they could actually trigger impulses in your brain to make you have thoughts that you think are your own thoughts, but they're not.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that too. Like they can give you a frequency. They can give you a frequency that is like known, but then they can target it extra. So it's not just like it used to be simple shit. Like they used to have like these control towers that they would be able to just send out little buzzes, and the little buzzes would like bring you into a higher state of mind or a lower state of mind or like a paranoid state of mind. But if I understand right, what they've been able to do with that is then refine it to where they can really like isolate very specific thoughts and feelings into these like frequencies. And
yeah, there's
pretty much
bunch of effort.
And how do you know that it's yours? How do you know it's yours?
Well, certain kinds of crystals that they're putting in blood, and it's the idea that you can use drugs, which are certain kinds of crystals, to tune specific frequencies. And you know, this is essentially like possession, because all of a sudden people that take certain drugs become all in the same wavelength, and they're easier to control with the same frequency radio that can make them all think the same thing or respond the same way. Right?
Oh, because they're all on the same level, so they can be manipulated together. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
If I had this technology, I wouldn't tell anyone, but there would be signs.
All the meth heads would wear teal, I think, at least, like sweaters.
This is 60-year-old technology, guys.
Yeah.
It really
is.
Oh, and so like the first time that I ever saw myself in a cartoon was I was actually in San Diego. I was where I'm just coming from.
So just so you really say, I want to explain what you mean by that. So he's not saying like he was on drugs and he saw himself, wow, I'm on a cartoon. He means that like living in California and being observed constantly in Los Angeles.
Right, something that he did.
And
so into a cartoon.
I've been friends with Maitland for over a decade. Yeah, I want to preface the story. I was friends with Maitland for over a decade, and at one point we were written into American Dad, and the writers for American Dad gave us screenplays for the next 12 to 18 episodes. We had copies of them before they produced them. So there's a lot to what he's saying here. I still have them.
Did I come back?
Xander, Renegade Angel.
Okay, so it was this was 2002. And I was living in San Diego, and I went to go play at Guitarmageddon, and then like the next week on Home Movies, which was a cartoon on Cartoon Network back then. Almost the exact, they had Guitarmageddon, and like it was almost like just verbatim like what happened, which was like I did really shitty on the thing that was the regular like Cartoon Network cartoon. What the fuck am I trying to say? Just that they had you play like it was supposed to be like a jazz thing, and so I did really bad at the jazz improv. I did like really awesome at like I play. And
hey yo, go back a second. You just faded out. Unless that's just me.
We're watching Home Movies.
Yeah, your signal's bad.
Sorry, I'm I'm sorry. I can't really.
They don't want us to know, dude. I'm not allowed to know, dude.
I'm losing.
I'm gonna mute you until you get your thing working.
The ideas are too powerful.
Poor Maitland.
This story was too real, bro. It was too real.
Been through a lot.
So I was really, 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 really messed up one time, and I just randomly came across Xavier, Renegade Angel, and I was like,
well, it's always shown to you by someone else who's also really messed up. That's why it seems like it always comes. That show comes.
Andrew's also from LA, though.
Okay,
Does anybody?
Cool.
What's this Renegade Angel thing? That sounds cool.
You never saw Xavier?
Your little name.
It's a
no,
sick show.
Dude, but it sounds dope. You can always tell by the name if something's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that it seems so abstract, but then when you watch it, like while you're stoned, you're like, this makes perfect sense.
It does kind of remind me of you, Andrew.
Dude, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is the best for that. I'm telling you.
Squidbillies too.
I used to watch that higher than a kite, dude.
I took the knees personally.
I remember
Malin, did you get your... Go ahead, sorry.
I remember when I first started smoking weed as a lad. It made TV shows a lot cooler because time would slow down, so you'd smoke and you'd be like, "Wow, this is such a good movie." It's like it's going on forever.
Yeah, dude, you could enjoy it like way longer because time was slowed down, so like you could really have quality time with the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like you really could just chill.
But Maitland, is your audio working again? Did you get it? Are you able to
talk?
I
think so.
Okay, so you were saying Guitarmageddon on Home Movies 2000.
Yeah, that's basically all there was to it. It was like the Guitarmageddon episode of Home Movies was like based on me playing at Guitarmageddon, except the dude scores the hot chick at the end, which I didn't score any hot chick at the end. But hey,
so you were saying that you did poorly on the jazz, and then you started talking about the thing you did good at, and then you dropped out.
Oh yeah, that was so you were supposed to play along with some pre-recorded track, and so I did the jazz track.
You're back,
and and I did really badly because I'd had no jazz training at that point, and I rocked it. The guy on Home Movies, he did this. It was just exactly the same thing happened, and it was like.
Word.
Yeah.
A week or two. All my friends, we were watching it together, and and we were all there too, and we were like, holy shit, Maitland's on Home Movies. This is big time. Nobody even remembers what Home Movies is anymore, but what I'm saying? Whatever.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. What about unless you want to continue with that, I got a subject I wanted to talk about. So you remember that the moon rocks from space were brought to, from Apollo mission, were brought all over the world and shared with people. And the Dutch got the museum test to show that the moon rock was not really the moon rock. They lied. It wasn't from Neil Armstrong on the moon. It's actually a petrified forest, piece of petrified wood. Here's a physics.org paper saying that the moon rock is a piece of petrified wood. The whole thing is fake, and that it's kind of, why did America give them a fake?
Did they think people would find out?
Yesterday, Trump administration removes the Apollo moon rock from the White House Oval Office.
He knows. Space Force.
So all right. So what flavor of controversy are we going? Are we going to go back to the ice wall, the dark continent? Is
it Antarctica silicon tree? Maybe it's petrified Yggdrasil. Yeah.
So the moon is fake. Okay.
The monoliths in the southwest are giant trees that were chopped down.
Maybe the moon is just made of trees.
Hold on. When they chopped the tree went into space and became the moon.
That's right.
Honestly, that's the
Japanese wouldn't know the difference.
The biggest lie that would bother me is that space is fake. If they told me space and the moon was not real, I'd be upset at that. Everything else. If you told me the world was actually 3 times bigger than we think, I'd
bro, when I saw the videos of the NASA dudes with the little bubbles coming out of their mouth, dude, I cried. I cried like a bitch. I was like, what is wrong? Why would they fake that? I don't understand. And like, I still think the space is real, but what's up with that?
Remember when the Flurfers did a laser test and actually proved that there was curvature? That was just kind of like, that broke my heart.
What about you, Maitland? Maitland, do you believe in the flat Earth? Are you a flat earther?
So like, the curviest girl I've ever met, and she goes by Bunny Fontaine. I don't know if you can look up Bunny Fontaine, but she will fight you about like flat Earth. And I'm just like, you can look at your own tits and tell flat Earth isn't true. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm sorry.
As above, so below, baby.
Well, I haven't seen said tits.
I apologize.
Yo, but what's up with the bubbles? Why did they do that? Was it just too much money to go into space and do like a TV transmission, or is space fake? Like, I gotta know. Like, what's up with the bubbles, dude? What's up with the harnesses? What's up with the harnesses, dude? I want to know.
With the cheap GoPro low res footage.
Because I was always banking on like the overview effect. If like more humans got to look at Earth from space, apparently that's supposed to give you like a spiritual awakening of sorts. But I don't know. Maybe that's fake. Maybe it's all bullshit. Maybe there is no space.
You know what I'm talking about with the harnesses, right?
I think, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And the hairspray, I'm well.
Yeah, the hairspray, and they're doing backflips. They're doing backflips, and he's grabbing his harness, and it's like, that's not zero gravity. What's going on with this Mickey Mouse bullshit? You know, and like I cried, like I'm telling you, I literally cried like a bitch, dude. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I thought, well, what if this does really mean space is fake? Like I love space. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I still want to believe.
Space can be unreachable, and we could still live on a globe. Like those two things are not mutually exclusive.
That's what I tell myself. That's what I want to tell myself.
Why do all the people that try to prove that the world's a globe suck so much, though? Like, it's like all the globies are like lame people. Isn't that kind of?
Well, if I were a globie, I would have a chip on my shoulder. I would be so pissed off that I never got to go to space, because 99% of all globies don't go to space. They don't get to actually see Earth with their own eyes. I would have that constantly, and I guess I'm technically a globie. I believe in a round Earths, but I can never see it. I'm not a fucking astronaut, so I guess like, you know, that's why I would feel super like vindictive against flat Earth in their shoes if I was like,
well, I mean, there's 24-hour days on the poles, and like, unless somebody gives me a model of how that's possible with a flat Earth, which I ain't seen, then I'm going
model
with
has
the flow,
the sun
dude. It's just
traveling in like in an oscillating pattern, and it goes above the tropics, and then it oscillates to the other tropic. Like, trust, I've believed in all sorts of. I accept all things as possible, but I don't really believe in anything.
Well, how would you have a 24-hour? How would you have a 24-hour day on the South Pole?
When the
North Pole would make sense if it was the UN. If it was the UN map and the North Pole is in the center, and you've got the little sun, and it stays there but the sun doesn't. It's on the outside, so you've got the ice wall. It would have to go around that whole goddamn ice wall, but it would be sunny all day. That makes no sense. The spotlight, and here's the thing. This is the thing that disproves flat Earth for me. Is that here's the thing. If the sun is going down, right? It goes down. If it was a flat Earth and it's a spotlight, it would shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink into the distance until there's no more light. But that's not what the fuck happens. That's not what happens.
We have a different sun. The sun is fake now. It's projection.
Oh, well, okay, well, that explains everything. Well, as long as the sun's fake, then none of it matters. Fucking flat Earth all day.
Well, we know that observation can literally change the shape of matter. So if you get enough people to observe something or take notice of it, you can, you know what I mean? It's the reality is oscillating in and out of different states, right?
Well, I see the sun oscillate the fuck down over the horizon, and it doesn't just shrink into the distance. It fucking goes down. Where's it going down to if it's a flat Earth? Where's it going down to? It's not going under, because then all the other continents wouldn't have a day anymore, because it would be down for everyone.
I know. Why can't I see Mount Everest? I know. I get it. I'm with you. So why fake going to Van Allen radiation belt? Why say you could do a thing, just because of the Cold War? Why are there these Nazis lying to each other about what they can do? It's crazy.
Well,
I'm not following you.
To answer Andreas' original
paperclip
question,
side A and then paperclip side B. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just answering, like, going back to why are globies so shitty. Well, the only way to solve that is to send people to space. It's like go look at the fucking globe, and maybe you'll feel like a little more enlightened about it. I guess, I don't know.
Feel insignificant or something.
Yeah. When I was telling about Bonnie Fontaine earlier, the conductor was standing right there, and I didn't see him. He gave me like the dirtiest look and yelled at me. By the way, so he might be a flat
earther.
Yeah, he drives a train too, so he probably know better than most people.
Like, yeah, the same way pilots are like.
I'm just saying,
train conductors.
Like, so it's like, dude, I got a train conductor and a curvy babe who both like vouch for. Well, I don't know if he really vouches for it, but he definitely didn't like what I said. And
he's
okay. But is the hyperspace non-local meta plane of reality? Isn't that a endless plane, or is that, you think, some sort of is the meta dream space time some sort of spheroid as well? Isn't it like flat space once you're in the beyond the veil? It's a wrap.
Well, all I know is that I'm the only real human being, and you're all my dream, and I see the sun go down over the horizon. Therefore, it's a globe.
But the sun is Raph. What's a Raph?
Hi guys, can you hear me? Am I stuttering? Am I okay?
Yeah, what's up?
You're good.
What's up, guys? So, just, because I've been following this topic and the whole, run up to this supposedly final experiment, which is a huge psychological operation. I'm not saying I particularly believe in anything, but what you're mentioning with the sun vanishing, from what I understand, everything is about perspective. And oftentimes when something, goes far away, like the train tracks, they apparently converge, but don't really converge. So
it stays the same size until it's gone. It doesn't shrink. You know what I'm saying? Like, it stays the same size. It's so far away, it stays the same size, and then it don't shrink.
Wait. It's so
if it was a spotlight, it would shrink.
How far is it away?
Well, if it's as far away as they say it is, then the size wouldn't change no matter the real people, the official people. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's as far away as they say it does, then it's changing relational.
Flat Earth researchers subscribe to. And another thing that's
right, exactly. So why doesn't it shrink?
If you look,
why doesn't it shrink?
There's something called the sun calc, which is like an online tool where you can triangulate or calculate the sun position. And from, I'm not so deep into this myself, but from what I've been listening to, it actually seems like the sun, if you try to triangulate it, it's not properly working. And if different people in different positions, basically, they think they look at the same sun, but if you try to triangulate that, it doesn't match up at all.
So there's like 50 suns and shit.
No, I'm not saying that, but it appears as if this is somehow subjective thing as well. I just wanted to throw that out there. So it's a bit more in-depth and complex and intriguing, as you say. And oftentimes in the arguments, of course, both ballers and sometimes flat earthers have like low bar arguments and just heated discussions. But there's actually a lot more to this if you try to go in depth, and it seems a lot more mysterious, which is also why there technically could be a 24-hour sun wherever. Wouldn't necessarily prove or disprove anything, because there's so many things about it we don't understand if we really honestly and deeply try to look into it.
Right, because we're all different people from different perspectives, and what we're looking at, we may think it's the same thing. Just like when I'm speaking words to you, you may think that you understand the words that I'm saying, but you may be completely off, even though it's the same words that we're using. Stuff like that.
I was just thinking how that's like such a Vincent thing to say as Vincent pops up. And I was like, that's good. Serendipitous.
Have you guys seen the
Please take it from there.
Mama. Have you guys seen the oh god, they're announcing things on the train. Hold on. Have you guys seen the it's old, but it's from the late 90s. This Chinese lady that was a professor at Berkeley, she stuck electrodes in a cat's brain and then showed it a movie, and like you could see the movie on the PVM like kind of like, I mean, it was pretty bad quality, but like you could, I mean, you could see the movie happening, but all of the people in the movie had like cat faces and cat ears. Yeah. Andreas has seen this. You know what I'm talking about.
I know, yeah. It was basically like the cat
I'd love to see that
as larger cats.
I'd love to see a modern version of that, because it'd probably be really easy to do now. Like, you probably wouldn't even have to stick the electrodes in the cat's brain. I mean, you could probably just like be non-obtrusive.
When we look at a cat, are we seeing a version of a cat's face that our brain has projected like human traits on it? So an actual cat's face. Just
it's like and everything. We see faces and everything, right?
When
it's like a hyper cat.
When you look at that scan or the video of the cat watching the movie and he projects cat faces, we're seeing still what we can see as cat faces. So what a cat actually sees as cat faces is different than what we can see,
But here's the thing, cameras can see more than the human eye. So the camera could be capturing something that only the cat can see.
I agree, but the thing is we're looking at the camera and we're still only seeing what we can see, not what the cat can see.
Yeah, we're still only filtering it through what we can see. Like, yeah.
They're seeing
when we capture something. When we capture
when
something,
you look at, sorry,
when we capture something on camera that we can't normally see, what we're actually seeing is a version of it that our brains can process. Like an electric microscope isn't actually seeing.
It's like on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, right? You're not your business ray or something like that, right? And so you can't see the alien ships, because you're not expecting to. It's not your business. It's outside of your realm of. It's just you don't need to know, so you don't see it.
There was something cool that Andrew showed me, Vega. Remember that like laser experiment where these guys were doing? It was a repeatable occurrence. Like they were able to smoke DMT, and shoot like a cross laser projection onto a wall. And if you look at that projection at the right angle, you see like layers of matrix code or something. And it was weird because you would say, oh, it's just a hallucination, but people don't normally see the same shit like that, like on DMT. And it's never that.
Wait, you gotta break that down, because I want to know what you're saying better. This sounds cool.
So like imagine someone just shoots like a cross laser projection onto a wall. You smoke some DMT, and then you go up to the wall and you lean like your
like a smiley face projection or something, right?
No,
just like a laser across the wall,
like just across. Yeah.
So
you put your eye close to the wall, staring at it at the right angle, while you're on DMT, and apparently you see like layers of like code and like symbols, and just it's like
so you're like up on the wall looking at the side of the laser or something.
If you look into the beam acts as a portal. You're looking through the wall, but
if you're looking through it, it's a good way to burn your eye out.
No, I mean you're not staring at like the actual projector. I don't think
if you stare at the laser, you might lose an eye. Be careful.
Yeah, no, you're not looking at the laser. You're looking at the laser, bouncing off the wall, technically bouncing off of the wall, but it's also.
So like, there's something that the laser is doing to this wall that they're able to perceive while they're on DMT that they are not able to perceive, and it's like a vortex empty zone or something is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's like a window kind of.
And apparently it's structured. It has like a syntax. There's repeatable. There's repeating like symbology. So there's like it's structured. It could really be like code to our reality or something.
Well, lasers can read like information on a CD, right?
Well, it's light. I mean, the idea is like light, since like all matter is just.
I don't know why.
Light.
Sure.
This made me think of this though. So one time I had sleep paralysis and I woke up, right? And I hear like super heavy metal or Smashing Pumpkins or something, like despite all my rage shit playing on my speakers. And so I look over to turn off my speakers and the light's not on. It's not on. So as I'm looking over to the speakers and like realizing that the speakers aren't on and I'm hearing this music, I look over at the wall, and the wall had all of these hieroglyphics that I had never seen before. It looked like some straight out of like X-Files or like Stargate or some shit, all just twisting in different directions, going counterclockwise.
Powerful thoughts.
I don't know why.
I've noticed a pattern in some video games that I've seen. There's some hidden fractal patterns that you can find if you look around. Sometimes it's usually just what they do is they have a half a thing and then they flip it, so you just have like a reflection. And if you look at some walls, you're going to see some crazy psychedelic work that is just purely hidden. And it makes me wonder, like, does this stuff sort of like program you? Like, I remember seeing it on Big Bang Theory. In the background, there's just hidden in a corner a really psychedelic fractal little piece of art that's just hidden. And I'm like, why is this there? Like, of all places, and just like it was in the Cheesecake Factory. I'm like, what the fuck, you know?
Maitland, what do you think
Cheesecake
about?
Factory is
it's just like, but it makes me wonder if there's sigils that are laid around our culture or civilization, and they serve a function in that sort of matrix coding. And so maybe what you saw is one of these sort of like sigils that is built into houses that like just.
It was a portal, dude. It was a straight up portal, and the portal had like living characters coming off of it. Like, I don't know how to explain it really.
Imagination.
But the more that I was looking and staring at this, and which of course, like, I'm filtering it through my hypnagogic state. So like, God knows what I was really seeing, if anything, right? But the more I stared at it, all I remember is the end of the story. Is as I'm staring at it, trying to make out these like characters, then it like all of a sudden I could read one and it said, "You need to stop," and then I woke up.
Maitland, do you have thoughts on Clockwork Elms and DMT Dream Realms, Dreamtime, and all that?
Yeah, but
I don't know what I needed to
dining
stop
car right now.
Say it again.
Okay, they've stopped talking about the dining car. Sorry. No. Yes, I do. I wasn't paying attention because there was noise all around me. So
we're talking about Clockwork Elves, Fairies, Dreamtime Realm. Dreamtime
I did. Check this out. I took part of a Johns Hopkins survey about that, like, same thing, like where people who have seen entities, and like I just ingested some ayahuasca tincture with some what do you call that stuff? Acacia confusa, as the scientists would say, tea. And I had this experience up in Malibu where like all these like they looked like cosplayers, but like more real than we look, like with furry cosplayers. You know, these furry cosplayers, they run around, they take over the joint, they go on parades and stuff. And like they all just started appearing in front of me, like just right in front of me, and they looked like so happy to see me. Some of them hugged me, some of them kissed me, and it was crazy. Like, and it was like it seemed so real that like it must have been a drone projection, and I didn't understand, like, because like at the time that you could do that with drones. But like I still didn't even see how, because it wasn't projecting it on anything. Like I was up in bright blue Malibu on the hill, and it wasn't projecting on anything. But it looked like holograms, but it looked more real than y'all. And like, but they were furries and they were kissing me. So yes, the answer is yes.
Well, what about what do you
Johns Hopkins knows all about it too, because I put it on their survey. Survey says furries, holographic furries kissed Maitland on DMT.
You know, it makes me ask questions about there's sort of like an implication that DMT is kind of like this sort of toon world where like these wacky creatures can like of dropping anvils and like weird things that can be manifested out of words. You know, that's the main thing that I've understood.
Were you there? Were you earlier here when Maitland was talking about how he feels like his life has been constantly made into cartoons for the last 20 years?
No, I missed the part.
All right, that's it.
But I feel you.
Yeah,
but you know,
it started in San Diego.
It's this sort of like. Sorry, go on.
You know what that makes me think of is Netflix. Okay, I started noticing at the beginning of Netflix that I would like have these ideas of like things to write, and I just would never write them, right? You know, like I would just be like, oh, that would be a cool idea for a show. And then 6 months later, it was always 6 months later, I could barely remember having the idea, but Netflix would be like, new show. And it's like, so I understand that they weren't just my ideas, because I guess the theory is that everybody has the same idea, or a lot of people at the same moment in time, right?
They're trying to get you to buy the next product, so they're like,
well, I've seen that episode of Black Mirror.
Well, no,
because the thing is that there's inspiration in all this, and there's a logical progression to like people consuming things and then what comes out of it, and naturally, if you have an inspired idea by it, it could be that someone else has the inspired idea too. They just act upon it, and usually it happens even before you have it.
It made me really paranoid. It made me really paranoid at the time, because you got to understand that I was not well medicated for my situation at that point in time. So I just kept on having Netflix mind-jacking me. Like they were taking my ideas and making them into shows, as far as I was concerned.
They're playing. Hold on, check this out.
It could be. It could be that there's a factor of that. It could be that they have, like, you know, like there's space where all ideas exist, the DMT realm, maybe the realm of imagination. It could be that we tap into that and we take out of it, and then from that we can share these ideas. But it could also be that we can generate ideas and add it to that, and so when they create something, they know other people will be inspired by it, and they will add to it. And but they just have
so close. I gotta tell you,
they want to monopolize.
I gotta tell you, they were so close to my actual idea, though. They were so spot on to my actual idea that I was like, either they had the same fucking idea, or they jacked it out of my goddamn mind.
Or they made you.
They will. They're going to make you pay to give them ideas.
Vince, I just want to say,
they bought a bunch of messaging data from Facebook. They're going to create like basically a digital AI version of you. And
maybe there's an account somewhere. Maybe I have a trust fund. Maybe I have
transfer your consciousness
fund I don't know about that Netflix set up for me. And Netflix has millions of dollars to give me, and they're waiting for the right time to tell me.
No, I was going to say that I kind of disagree with Vince about
the big payout
of us.
You got to go to the hotel and wait for the big.
Yeah, they know that I'll be mad.
I just want to say, I don't think anyone actually creates ideas. I don't think ideas originate from us. I think ideas are floating always in that idea space, and all we can do is be in a state to accept it. It's like our minds are like a chalice, and if your chalice is already full, you can't get new ideas. That always happens.
I don't disagree, but I believe that humans are novelty generators, and so we do generate ideas, and
we generate expressions of ideas.
I think it's a co-creative process,
but I think that so many people controlled though. So like I had a friend who used to work in a weed shop, and he used to study neurolinguistic programming and see just for fun if he could convince people to buy specific strains by putting his one finger slightly further ahead of the other finger on the table, or like leaning a certain way so that they would think he was.
Oh, I've seen people do that.
And it causes people to buy certain products. He could get people to 9 times out of 10 buy the thing that, and he got better and better and better at suggestion.
I agree with you, Chris. Like 99%. I think most people are just part of this sort of process of just absorbing this information from outside. But there are people who have this sort of trait that they are co-creators with the part, like with reality, and it's their function. So it's not like if they're like they understand everything.
That's not driven by ideas.
I think it's part.
Imagination itself.
I think it's part muse. It's part.
It's more like
there's a muse
naturally just produce it. It's not even conscious, basically.
That's the way I articulate how ideas work in my mind. Like I don't know if this is the way it works. This is just the way that I articulate it, and I like to think of it. Is that so that there are muses, and there are many muses, and muses communicate these ideas to people, but also people are receivers for that idea, and they also encode the ideas. Yeah. So it's a process between you and the muse. The muse didn't give you the whole idea. They need you to create it. So it's like it's 50-50. And so people pick up on the muse, and if they use it and then the muse is happy, they're like, yeah, that's what I was going for. That's what needed to happen or whatever, right? But they don't even know the full product until it materializes. That's the way I think of it.
It's manatees writing Family Guy.
Use the muse.
You're watching cat murders?
Dude, have you ever seen this movie, Fella Day?
Nope.
So my friend Alex just showed me the show. This is the gnarliest cartoon. So it's kind of a cross between Watership Down and the Aristocats. So it's like this cat. It's like a Turkish German dude story, but it's like about a cat that. I mean, there's everything in this cartoon. Like, there's literally cats having sex in the park together, like in the cat fashion. A bunch of disemboweled cats, man. Like, like it's crazy.
One time I saw
pretty much people.
These are kids shows in Germany.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's nuts. There's an electroshock cult run by a Secrets of NIMH survivor that can speak English or can speak like human language anyway, and he like electrocutes all the other cats in order to like keep them in his cult. It's crazy.
Reminds me of Oddworld. They keep them in place with the sodas. Make people drink sodas and then they never leave.
There's like a human trafficking thing going on, and then they like disembowel, like pull up the guts of all the cats and like pour their guts out everywhere. It's like
Slurm.
You shouldn't touch your kid.
Like Slurm.
Yeah.
I kind of zoned out. Like I missed what you guys were talking about. It was probably the key to my reality, and I just missed it.
Well, okay. What about? I got a wait. Do we? Dang it! I just lost Kurt. Kurt, I was just about to ask him about Marxism. Hold on. I'm just gonna see if I can make him come back because it was worth it. Kurt,
what were you gonna say to him about Marxism? Maybe we can fill in the blanks.
We're still gonna do it. I'm just gonna see. We were gonna talk about how to stop Elon Musk.
I love Marxism.
Hey, Vega, are you a Marxist?
I think that some of the ideas could certainly be updated towards like the material conditions of today. It was written 100
for sure
plus years ago.
Almost 100 years ago.
I'm a Marx purist, so I think that we need to take life back to how it was when Marx existed and then carry it forward from that point.
Ironically, Marx said the opposite. Marx was pushing that we need to actually like advance until we hit a sustainable point, a plateau of growth.
But right, we'll do that, but only from the point at which he started.
Let me just share one quick interesting fact. Between 2011 and 2013, China produced and used more concrete than the U.S. did in the entire 20th century, just to show productivity. Not just to show productivity, but that is just like, that's a fact.
They had a lot of concrete ideas.
Ideology has killed more humans in the past century than all religions in history combined. Kind of similar to the concrete thing.
I mean, religion is an ideology, and I think ideology is always going to end in a violent or
yeah, well, but communism did even worse than Catholicism, and that's impressive. All right, okay. Here's the deal. Everybody wants to stop this guy, right? Space Hitler's bad. He's trying to destroy your freedoms. He's taking away your democracy.
That freaking Nazi.
I like Elon Musk.
I think he's the
What? How could no?
I love that we got every possible response in that like 3 seconds. He's the Antichrist. I love him. He's like,
I don't love him.
No,
he's doing pretty well.
I love that Nazi. I don't want you guys to get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying Nazi in a bad way. I'm saying like I love that Nazi.
You like that National Socialist?
It's the only N word that Colin can say.
What did?
I'm sure he said it many times. The other one many times.
That Nazi is my ninja.
Obviously, I like using X, and I'm kidding, and I like to use Twitter. But I was going to say, Maitland, what is it that you like? You're in LA, or you're at least in California. You're in a place where people hate Elon Musk now, and like a leftist, hypno Stockholm syndrome Taliban of Democrats. Like, what? How can you sleep tonight, like having feelings that are? All right, what's your feeling on
that are different from left wing California?
Yeah,
like easily. I don't know. I don't think he's all that bad myself. He's super rich and he's doing stuff. I don't know. It's like it's interesting. I don't think he's hurting anybody. Like maybe I'm wrong. Like
I think he's bound.
Maybe I should hate him.
Maybe I should. Money, dude. Like
I'll take that under advisement.
No, you shouldn't hate him.
You should give me some of it.
The thing is that the problem
just a little piece.
a lot of the problems with DEI is that it created jobs for the sake of creating jobs. It put these places to have these sort of markets so that you could have money in the pockets of more and more diverse people. But with that comes inefficiency. They go, we're willing to lose money as long as it improves the lives of the diverse groups that we've hired. And then people go, well, that ends up just costing millions or billions of dollars. And so we're going to have to change that.
The extreme edge end of that is you're going to have people on the street sweeping the street with a broom just so they can have something to do. Like,
but we
can't go down that road too hard.
But we need people to clean the streets. That's the thing. We can't not have those because we gave those jobs, like we gave those people other jobs. We have to be able to have people who maintain society. Just give them enough money. Those are real jobs. Sweeping the street is a real job. Sitting there.
Well, I'm talking about people pretending.
I've gotten so many tickets from those people that have that job.
Pretending.
Made me quit
I'm talking about
driving
pretending.
a car.
Being like the
head of the street sweepers can have it. I quit driving.
Being the head of a diversity, being the head of a diversity like part of a company that has like 40 people that are hired just to sit around and like talk about diversity isn't the most efficient way to have diversity. There's got to be a better way, and so it has to sophisticate over time, and it has to improve, because it can't just be like here forever. We're gonna have like just people sitting there doing basically nothing. Like, no, you got to figure out what's not working. And
what we should do is we should make job applications semi-blind, like somehow, right, on like the first round. So then people know if you're being a racist if like you don't choose the best person for the job, because they already have been blindly put into like, now it's the interview portion where you see their face, that you see that their name is Dikembe or whatever, right? And like now it's a problem. So like maybe at the first they should do rounds.
Catch a predator, racist.
Like the theater things, like where they would like when they audition musicians, they would do it from behind a curtain. So they would just listen to you play, so you wouldn't see what they look like at all, and then they.
We should all have to wear a mask at interview.
A hijab. We should all dress like Muslim women.
Well, did you see a Scanner Dark?
No. Beekeepers.
No. You have to be allowed to have whatever mask you want, because that's a reflection of your personality. Okay, you can't be like, oh, everyone has to have the same drape.
That's what your body is. Your mask. Get back into Buddhism. Okay, but
but it's disempower skin color.
Elon Musk is in the payment systems. They're in the treasury.
I love
He's going to audit the IRS. Look at this crazy. Have you seen the kid? He's got this 20-some-odd-year-old kid who's running the Treasury Department now. How are we gonna? Have you seen this? Do you know about this kid? Have you seen?
I haven't heard so far. I haven't heard. Okay. I've heard a lot, but I haven't heard.
Ironically, at some point, I actually did a show about this kid already. Weirdly enough, like about a year ago, I was super excited because of this kid. The same reason that other people were. This video is from a year ago. This is why I knew who he was already.
So I've always been interested in history. Growing up, I learned Latin. I was never that good at it, but I was always kind of into that sort of stuff. Read a lot about the Roman Empire and things. Okay. One day I was just listening.
He likes Tartaria, and yeah, it gets worse.
To a podcast.
Or better.
Back in March. It was with Nat Friedman. He just kind of got on the podcast, explained like there are these burnt up scrolls that were buried in the Pompeii eruption.
So you've seen these, right? This was something. There was all these scrolls that were literally, these are what's left of the scrolls. They were burnt up, and then all they had left was the charcoal remnants of what the scrolls were. These are rolled up scrolls that are burnt, so you can't unroll them because they're charcoal. They just fall apart. Right?
The Pompeii eruption. No one knows how to read them, but some professors have created CT scans of these scrolls, and they uploaded the data on the internet as a competition to see who could find writing inside of these scrolls.
Yeah. Okay. So they literally scanned these charcoal wads of charcoal, and he used AI. And this kid, he won this contest so he could stop being a poor kid in Nebraska eating top ramen by finding the words that were written in the charcoal from this burnt scroll from Mount Vesuvius in Pompeii.
Is it a doomsday machine?
What?
Is it a doomsday machine?
No, I mean, it's so far.
was just immediately like, oh my goodness, this is such a cool project. I have to work on this. I just went home from work that day at the end of the day, and I've been working on it evenings and weekends ever since.
That'd just be a cool twist.
Things from my laptop. It's just a normal MacBook. Don't worry.
I love that skin.
But then I've just got like 5 surplus computers in here. This is what I do most of my work from.
Yo, that's like me.
Right?
The Rake School and just the University of Nebraska as a whole has provided a great educational background where I can then, take these skills that I've learned and apply them to problems like this. I just spend hours upon hours staring at flattened pieces of the scroll like this, trying to find these patterns, which are part of the writing. At the start of the challenge, we had not been able to find any writing at all within these scrolls. There are hundreds of these scrolls that are from the mansion. We've scanned a couple of them, and no one had been able to find any writing in them using these methods. Late one Saturday night, I was sitting at a party at a friend's house in Omaha, and I get a text from another person on the challenge team, and he says, hey, I've just uploaded this new kind of piece of the scroll. You should take a look at it. I remotely access my computer. I type into it like, please run the algorithm on this new piece of scroll. And then I just kind of start it. I pull out my phone again, just nonchalantly like, hey, I wonder how that went. And there are 3 Greek letters on the screen. Letters I'd never seen before. It was really cool because it's like, oh my goodness, like we actually detected new writing in the scrolls using AI.
AI, please pretend it says something and write in what it might say.
Well, he said it was purple.
They're going to work. Like we were probably going to read the scrolls, and I completely freaked out. My friends were there, and I was cheering, jumping up and down.
Purple. So this is the kid who is now in charge of figuring out what's going on with the treasury. So like if he can sift like Greek letters out of charcoal,
wow,
then maybe he can figure out where the money's going, right?
Yeah, so I was thinking about it, and so Elon Musk, like, of course people hate him, dude. Like it's not really a big, like, especially now, it's not really a big mystery why people hate him. He has positioned himself to be like the ultimate bad cop with this Doge thing. Like that threatens people. Of course people are getting so what I try and decipher while people talk about Elon Musk is like how much is true and how much is like people just trying to come up with reasons for you to hate him because it's in their interest for you to hate him. You see what I'm saying? And like so there's layers to this.
I don't know, Colin. Would you want to put a Neuralink in your brain?
The goal of Trump is to make
if it's yes, the answer is yes. If it could solve my bipolar disorder, yes, I would put a chip in my brain. Because
here's the thing.
I actually wrote him an email and I said, hey, if you think that Neuralink can help, so yeah, the answer, I said I'll be your guinea pig. He never got back to me.
Well, that's like some Antichrist
medicine
shit.
Yet?
That's like some Antichrist shit, like Mark of the Beast type deal.
It could be. That's why you got to keep an eye on it.
That's why it's
important. The mark of the beast, whether it's inside you or outside you, it's still there. So even if it's in your phone or on your computer, it's the same thing. It's a progression of the same technology.
Well, here's the thing about the mark of the beast and the apocalypse and all that I think people miss a lot. This is my opinion, is that if it's a prophecy, it's going to happen. Now, this guy could be coming up with some technology that further down the line could or could not be used for the real mark of the beast if that prophecy is true, right? And it's inevitable if it's a prophecy and it's true. So, we can't really be super paranoid. Like, dude, just get right with Christ. If you're into Christ, what are you gonna do? That's the way I look at it.
The thing about a prophecy is that it also acts as a blueprint because people just copy what it says in it and then make it happen. So someone can choose to be the Antichrist, to take on that role and then do what it said the Antichrist would do.
What are they going to do it anyway? If it works, then they would have been. It would have been an inevitable thing. If it works and they become the Antichrist.
I agree, but writing it down and having a guy with horns and stuff, that's all just part of the programming and part of the blueprints. So if he's following the blueprint, then maybe.
And it's really notable because it's going to change humanity.
And is he following?
I don't think he is.
And is he following the blueprint? Is he following the blueprint?
Let Chris figure. What do you say?
No, maybe he sees the potential.
Jesus Christ, man.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, that was supposed to be like the singularity point, right? Like when we finally merge with AI, and I don't know, is it going to be voluntary? Because you're definitely going to have extremists on either end saying like some people going full tilt, like, yeah, I'm going to merge the heck out of this thing, whereas other people are going to be like, no, I completely reject it. I'm just going to be pure, like all natural for like, you know, with my soul.
Yeah, and so the idea, exactly, the idea with Elon is at least he says that his idea is that this AI, the singularity, it is inevitable. So the reason for Neuralink is to get ahead of it. So like if you're seeing potential for great evil, and then that's the problem though, is that also we've seen this in all sorts of myths, is that sometimes people want to prevent the great evil from occurring, and then they become that great evil while trying to protect it from occurring. So Elon is in a position that he is a great person and he can do great things, whether they are for ill or for good. We only can see, like, we don't know, like, so, and that's what I'm saying, is like it's natural for people to be afraid of this. Like this guy is positioned to have godly amounts of power, so we gotta watch, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I think that he means well. It's just, what does he do?
Well, the Antichrist means well too. You know, like there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say that the intentions of the Antichrist are going to be nefarious in his eyes. He's just going to be doing what he's natured to do. And so,
well, yeah, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. They say.
They say that the age of the Antichrist will last for a few hundred years, and so it could be that we are entering. We are currently in what, like this 70th year of the age of the age of Satan. Sorry, according to the Church of Satan. So, if by the time we get to 2026, maybe we'll be in the age of the Antichrist. It could be.
I mean, it's just the whole thing with Apollyon and Abaddon, right? So Trump's whole.
We can see.
What are you saying?
The main marker of the age of the Antichrist is going to be the mark of the beast. If everyone has to have the mark of the beast, then that'll be it.
Yeah, that's kind of the most clear thing. Like, there's a lot that's open to interpretation, and there's a lot of different interpretations, and you really hit on a key point, is that the mark of the beast is pretty clear. We'll be able to tell. Like, it has where you have a mark, or you have something that marks you, or you have been enabled to only be able to do that, and you cannot trade or do business or whatever. Like, if there's anything like that occurs, that is literally the mark. It will be pretty hard to not notice.
I think that'll come with the elimination of physical money.
Yeah, it was the social security number. We're way behind, dude.
Well, the thing is that if it's a microchip in your hand that acts like a debit card or like your cell phone transaction, then it's totally believable, you know? Like, of course, you just have this thing, flash it, and boom, you get to pay for
If there's no other alternative, but to use that thing in your wrist or in your fist or whatever, then it's the mark. If there's alternatives, and you can still use, you can still use cash to.
Even if there's even if there's alternatives, if you have a mark on your hand that enables transactions and that is even part of the structure, that is definitely still the sign of the Antichrist. I mean, sign of the symbol of the beast.
No, because if there's alternatives, then you're not forced.
No, you have to be forced. There's no reason to have it on the hand or on the forehead like in that, unless you're trying to mimic it. There's zero. You could put it on the wrist. You could put it anywhere else. If you put it where it says it, you're following the blueprint. Just don't, basically.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
On the back of, you just have it. Anyone use Apple Pay? Apple Pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy, super convenient and simple.
Yeah,
the Apple with the bite
Neuralink on the temple.
You grab the scanner. You grab the scanner at the store and you scan your own forehead.
Apple Watch. Can you Apple Pay on your watch? I'm pretty sure that's a thing, right? You can do that. I mean, it's like you said, Vince, it's a blueprint. Putting anything down on paper just makes it that much more possible for it to materialize because it's data. Anyone can perceive the data, and since we are transducers, it is as much projected as it is perceived.
Oh yeah.
Like, and then you have cameras that scan you. They want a society where you walk into a store and then they can charge you money when you walk out of the store based on your face.
It has to be that you,
it's really just
need
an
to
Indian
have
guy
a mark.
Maybe
it's on your social
so here's the thing.
For now. If
Here's
they don't
the
have it
thing.
working perfectly, they will.
It needs to be where you must have the mark to go to Walmart. And if you don't have the mark, you don't get to go to Walmart. Like, that's what the mark is. It's that, like, there's no other alternative in the society. So people, what they have to do is that, like, well, okay, you've been given a choice. Do I trust that God will provide for me now that I've been forced to follow the beast in order to go to Walmart? And so you're given a choice basically at that point. Are you going to trust in God that God will provide and you'll survive if you need to? Or will you go along and bow down to the beast just so you can go to Walmart? That's
I'll only be accepted in society if I wear a red hat that says MAGA the Beast on it.
Or alternatively, I'll only be accepted in society if I wear a rainbow with 666.
If I have a fucking blue hair, and sure, why not?
But those are
all the
laws.
same shit.
I agree.
I think laws.
The thing is, it could be that the age of the Antichrist is going to give us a lot of choices. It could be that you can be whatever you want. You're a custom human being now. You can modify your entire body, your entire face, your everything. You can be a wolf boy if you want. Like, who knows?
I feel like all it would take though is like we had the flu of 1919 and the crash of 1929, right? So now we have the flu of 2019, and we could have the crash of 2029. And all it would take would be everyone putting all of their money into crypto, Bitcoin particularly, and then having it go up to like $1 million a coin. In 2029, there's a quantum computer that decrypts all of Bitcoin, and that shuts down the trade and makes Bitcoin worthless all of a sudden. I think that's all it would take really for us to be trapped into whichever, universal basic income.
Oh, you need some money because all your money doesn't work anymore? Well, here's some money to give you.
The sovereign wealth fund, right? Because it'll be the state will be providing people with a new beginning after the crash, and they're preparing for that to come because everyone's going to lose pretty much everything if that happens.
Yeah. What is it called? Universal basic income, and they'll probably try to team it with all digital currency, right?
Yeah,
like it's already on the horizon.
To replace income tax, you get
you have a carbon quota. That's your taxes, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
It's because the pay you get won't be reflective of the product or what you're producing. So they get all the benefit, they get all the actual value, and then they throw money that they determine the value of at you. That's it. That's how they control you. Like minimum wage. Replace minimum wage with universal basic income.
Right. Like, and there might be ways to get around it. Like, you can use some gold and go trade it with somebody, and he can give you some stamps, and then you can wait outside of the Walmart and use those stamps to trade with the guy that gets to go in a Walmart. I
think that sounds extremely inefficient and is unlikely to happen.
Well, I mean, you got to do
outside
something,
of Walmart
right?
Well, no, it's just people are gonna have limited amount of stuff they can have. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, imagine getting laid off from your job and you rely on like.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Like
everybody's got holes. So
like $1,500, like all you get is a $1,500 check every month, and that's what like the shitty version of universal basic income would look like.
But I think that's fine as long as you can also have an additional income as well.
Yeah,
like I think
you'd have to.
That's the optimal. The basic income should just be everyone can be able to live. But the thing is that people tend to stagnate when they have the bare minimum. They just go like, "Oh, I don't need anything else. Just give me some beer and $1,500 a month, and I can live forever." And so
well, that's fine as long as you have the option. Though.
Yeah,
like
they do that. They do that.
Right? Like,
they do that.
Who cares if they stagnate?
society, civilization cares. If we have a bunch of neats just getting
if
drunk all the time,
civilization's falling apart, well, yeah, if civilization's falling apart, but the thing is we don't know if it can work. This particular scenario.
If you have a bunch of people who don't contribute anything, civilization will fall apart. Like there's no way.
And you have to constantly be worrying about it 20 years before it happens.
So are the robots making all the beer in this scenario? The robots are delivering and producing everything, and we're just doing
this hinges on
post-scarcity.
That's kind of the idea, yeah.
That's kind of the idea. But until then, it's going to be someone's job to make the beer, deliver the beer.
Yeah. So it depends. Yeah. It depends how universal the income is. Like if the income is global, then okay, then that's a problem. But if you only have universal basic income in the US, you can still exploit poor countries in the third world. You can still get cheap labor in other countries, So I don't know. Depends. When the robots come and they're coming, well, that will shift everything and we'll have a lot more things automated. And that means a lot of jobs.
If we do that, life will become like Death Stranding if you've ever played that. Like they already know what happens with that scenario.
That's a simulation. It's a simulation. It's possible.
Well, with Death Stranding, what happened? Right, of course. But with Death Stranding, what's interesting about that is, if I remember right, which I haven't played the whole game, but like the setup for it of what happened is that so they all had all of this technology take over or whatever, and just did all of the jobs for everybody. But people were going crazy. They were going stir crazy because they couldn't do anything. So in order to make it so civilization didn't fall apart, they gave special jobs that they could have the drones or the robots do. But instead, in order to have a cohesive society, they sent the people out to do the jobs, right? And then they became addicted to doing those jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm losing my train of thought, but it was interesting.
The thing is that people want to do stuff, right? If you take away jobs, people are still going to just work because work is fun when you like your job. So if you like building things, you're going to build things. You're not going to be like, hey, robot, build it for me. Like, no, you like working with your hands. We're humans. We have thumbs. We like using them. It's part of our neurology. So we still need those. We're still going to need stuff to do. We can't just be like, no, everything is going to be robots. We're going to have to move. We're going to have to go and, pick up our groceries ourselves, because some people, it's like, I remember Kurt Vonnegut was talking about it, where he's like, he instead of just getting his mail, like he could have someone do it all for him, he walks to the postman, and he goes at post office, and he goes and delivers all himself, and he describes every step of the way as part of his living experience. He could just automate the whole thing, but instead he recognizes that there's a beauty to actually being part of the process and actually contributing to the process, instead of just watching it go by while you live in decadence or in pleasure. Because he's rich. I mean, now but he could have been just doing whatever he wanted for the rest of his life, but he chooses to go and do the basic things, do the little things like everyone else.
There are some people that won't need that, though. There are some people that literally, in my opinion, will sit in the pod, let the pod shit for them, let the pod feed them. They don't even go that's they sit in the pod. They do virtual reality. This is my vision of the future.
And that's their right to do that if that's what they want to do, right? Because we're all individuals. We all have different desires.
Right, because everybody has different...
People have rights.
If you want... Who are you to say they're not allowed to do that?
His right becomes our obligation to take care of. And
right.
So if someone wants to do nothing and contribute nothing and be part of VR for their entire life, well, fine. But the burden of the energy, the cost, everything comes it affects everyone.
So here's the thing. What if it doesn't cost us anything, though? If it didn't cost us anything?
It costs.
What I'm trying to say is it won't cost us anything, in my opinion.
Even if it doesn't.
So this is just my vision. So this is just my vision of the future I had. Hold on. Let me finish it really quick. So then it might answer some of the questions that he was just asking. So in the way I see it, is that people will be in the pods and they will use the VR or whatever, right? And everything will be taken care of for them. They'll have their little robo buddy. Their little robo buddy will take care of it. It'll do all the work that they need. It'll do all the work that civilization needs and everything, right? And so they'll be nice. They'll be secure. They'll be happy. And what will happen is the people that don't really care for VR or that can live without it, that aren't addicted to it, they will come out of the pods and they will start to actually run shit. And it'll be a new world. And these pod people will have no idea. They won't care. They won't give a fuck what's going on outside in the real world. They can live in there
I've seen
for
the
20, 30 years.
Look, let's say you're running
pod people.
Let's say you're running a civilization, okay, and you have a limited amount of space that you can actually have people occupy, and then you have a whole bunch of people who contribute nothing and willingly choose to contribute nothing, and all they do is produce waste and consume, and that's it. As someone who runs a civilization, you have a choice. Do you let these people just literally leech off of everything, or do you replace them with someone who will actually contribute something useful? And the optimal is that, yeah, we should have people contributing something. That's the optimal, right? We will have a percentage of people
who charge them to live in the city, so they have to work to live.
And we will have. Sorry, let me finish.
Space limited by?
Literal.
People won't have to. They literally won't have to.
But what does that mean? They don't have to. There's limited amount of space in reality. There's limited amount of space.
They all live in little tiny pods.
Hold on.
They live in little tiny pods. They don't take up any space. They.
Okay, wait, Andrew.
No. Hold on. You could fit the entire world population in population density of Paris in Texas.
And you can fit the entire world population in Australia, and there would still be outback left.
Basically,
and still have room.
The end conclusion is the Matrix, right? So we're gonna have
the
a bunch
resources
of people.
required.
No, what we gotta do? We gotta build
a
a tower in Gaza. We're gonna build all the people in the world in Gaza in the super prison.
Well, no,
there is a way to manage resources in such a way where you could even take care of a bunch of fucking lazy people. If you look at how much it costs us, if you look at how much it costs us in resources, manpower, and actual human life,
hungry.
Like all the people fucking dying to support, let's say, for example, the U.S.'s military-industrial complex and
the scarcity.
Easy to pick on that one.
And the scarcity is manufactured. It's not fucking real. Like the military-industrial complex is the biggest consumer of fuels. They're just a fucking resource sponge.
The idea that people don't have to contribute anything at all. Well, the thing is that it doesn't add value to reality, to civilization. It doesn't actually contribute. And so if you don't,
that's why they're useless. We put them in the pod.
I agree.
We put them in the pod out of the way, and they don't bother us anymore.
They'll be like,
that's the point.
Put them in the pod.
What's the difference between them being dead and being in the pod then? Like it's the same thing, like you might as well have a corpse in there.
Because you're going to have people be lazy fucks for all of eternity. I agree, now we have a solution. Now we have a solution to put them away.
That's not a solution. That's just literally shutting them up.
Yeah, and then you're expecting them to breed in the pods. What's going to happen is they're going to die out in one generation. In one generation, the pod people
will be dead. Like a...
There's an idea. You have to understand
new pod people will be born.
How? What are you gonna suckle their sperm out? Like, look,
because
you're gonna have like their own
Your kids might suck. You might have kids and they might suck, and they'll be the new pod people, and on and on the world turns.
Put them in the pod. Put them in the pod.
Why are you guys talking about this in past or future tense? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me.
We're already in the iPod.
No, this is how people become the podcasters.
Oh my God, we're already in the pod.
What are we contributing right now? What are we contributing? Are we sucking the air out of fucking life right now, or are we actually contributing by?
I'm contributing so many bananas. I have so many bananas right now.
How is any of this any better than being a pod person? Literally,
we're contributing.
That's the point, right?
We're contributing to the extent. We're contributing to the extended discourse. And this is part of a greater discussion.
Each one of us is in a pod.
But
right
what
now.
if the people in the pods are
I have
philosophizing?
40,000 pounds. 40,000 pounds of bananas. 40,000 pounds of bananas.
In the back of that
40,000
truck.
How much coffee you got?
pounds of bananas. Actually, it's chicken. I just delivered. I just delivered bananas. This is chicken.
Chicken and banana
I'm delivering
go really
chicken.
well together.
Bananas are nothing without coffee and chicken.
If we can make the VR
Collard
space
greens.
useful, if we can make the VR space useful somehow, then that solves the problem. If we have people who
Hell
are
yeah,
literally-
Ender's Game and shit. Ender's
Yes,
Game,
Look,
motherfucker.
there's Ender's Game. There's another one. It was Surrogates, I think that's what it was called. It was like everyone had a robot version of themselves, and so they all stayed home, hooked up to the pod.
Yes.
and then their bodies were what they controlled using VR. And so
There's literally
if that
people who live
has an
stream
aspect-
playing Minecraft, and that's a business.
They can
for
be
them.
our soldiers to go to the
there's a way to
Mars.
be
They can go
productive
clear out
in
Mars for
non-traditional
us.
sense.
And they can play Call of Mars Duty. They can play Call of Mars Duty in their little pods while we're out in the real world doing real things, and they can go and get Mars for us.
Well, yeah, like when it comes to like space
Who's
travel,
going to
and stuff,
clean up their pods if they do duty in their pod?
It's going to be the
robot.
robot.
There's a
The robot
cycle.
fighters.
There's a cycle. It
Robot.
cycles.
We
Nobody
get a
cleans
bunch
it
of-
up. The robot.
It's
Yeah,
a
Wait,
robot.
Hold on.
robot
hold on,
illegal
everybody.
immigrants.
Hold on, everybody. Alec, everybody calm down. Raph, you were trying to say something a while ago. You were very patient. That was like 10, 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
Put him in the.
I'm not sure. All I wanted to point out, what we looked at earlier, the serious photos, I think it's an interesting concept because there's a guy
Right.
who claims or thinks he's photographing the firmament, which may well be, and how he's doing it is he's actually using a phone with binoculars, if I understand it correctly. This, of course, I'm curious to verify this with different devices and understand all the processing behind it. This is just the most, I guess, flashy picture of Sirius, which apparently is like the Sirius XM logo. But there's also quite a few other pictures which look very interesting. I'd have to look into it more. Yeah, something to look at.
What if
Yeah.
somebody beamed an AI program into his phone that made it filter it as if he's looking at the firmament to fuck with him?
Right, or it's the other way around.
Put them in the pod too.
They're projecting that stuff onto
anything.
a screen.
Check under your seat. There's a pod.
Project Bluebeam.
What about, okay, so, I mean, USAID, do you guys want to talk about that at all? You know, the whole thing, they've been uncovering with Doge all of the finances that have been going to things. Hillary Clinton Foundation got $1.4 billion.
Oh, please.
Which was involved with the $4.4 billion involved with the Haiti human trafficking and et cetera. Chelsea Clinton just got a cool $84 million to take home with her, you know, right? I don't know. What do you guys think about, any thoughts about that? Plus Politico, that was a big one, was that they found all the money that's been going into from the Defense Department into controlling left-wing magazines and newspapers, saying that there's nothing to the Hunter Biden story.
Who buys those magazines? Like, what the fuck?
I think that's the thing. Since they stopped buying them, they just start printing them or doing the digital. So they force you. They buy the advertisements, so you have to see them on Facebook. And so here's 2010. Nobody cared. 2016. 2016. All of a sudden, boom. They took over, and then you can see huge amounts of government financing, particularly during the Biden years, right? Like the control of the media. So that way you have to see those articles.
Like, wait, isn't this like fascism? Like, isn't this has an aspect of it like government is controlling media and controlling like corporations constantly? It's
the problem with that.
It's always been that way.
We're polluting their.
I agree.
We're polluting their fascism space with like nonsense like this, basically. You know, like it would be fascism if this shit wasn't allowed. If like,
but I agree, right? That's the difference, right? I mean, we say right wingers are fascism, but in Nazi Germany, you would have never been able to have a like all lesbian podcast like we have.
Yeah,
no, that's
all
not
of
true.
us lesbians.
No,
lesbians.
They did have lesbian podcasts, and they had like lesbian schoolgirl
Sorry,
movies.
yeah,
right?
but those were uber lesbians. Those were different though. They were German, the beyond
German
lesbians.
girls.
I was like Miss Trenchbowl.
They were
from
hot
Bulldog.
lesbians.
Yeah, Lenny Riefenstahl, who did
I'm
Triumph
just
of
joking.
the Will.
Oh, that
Dude.
sucks. Man.
Riefenstahl did all kinds of cool movies. Sorry, you all right?
Right. Well, it's the thing. They were inclusive to the limits of their inclusion, right? They were more
damn it.
exclusive. but you know, like it's crazy.
Sorry.
It's crazy that like in the West, where we have people literally like they give them platforms. They go, you want a multi-million-dollar industry where you can say that everyone's Nazis and fascists and that we have to overthrow the government and like that everyone is like evil or whatever. Go for it. We'll create this market for you where you're able to just say whatever you want and we'll even profit from it. And then we go, well, they're all fascists, and it's like, well, what does that mean then? Like, how many Jews can you have in a Nazi country? How many of them can run industries? How many of them can do any of this stuff? Like, you don't see this stuff in real fascist countries.
What do you call a government that's overthrowing itself? Like, how does that work?
I think that's like counter.
It overthrows itself after it overthrows itself, dude. It's like a tamale.
It's controlled revolution, right? When you know that your civilization will downfall, you plan for it, and then you just control the downfall. Otherwise, why you're not learning from previous civilizations that fell? You're just going, well, I hope it never falls.
Solution.
So
problem, reaction, solution, all day.
It's all about power.
You guys have assisted suicide in Canada, right?
Well, it's a little forced on us, yeah, but calling it assisted. I'm
just using that as a metaphor for what's happening with our government.
That's what I was saying. I was saying this yesterday that the Canadians, in response to the tariffs, they should send Mounties over and assist suicide some Americans. Give them.
Hillary Clinton has a monopoly.
Are you depressed about terrorists in your country?
Terrorists.
Here's a suicide for you.
Can you Google something for me, dude? Could you Google Robert Conquest 3 Laws of Politics?
Julia, Rob Hurts.
Robert Conquests. And I've always loved these quotes because it's like a mind virus. If you read through it could potentially turn you like super right.
Okay. There's a lot of mind viruses.
Wait,
like sorry.
Ideologies.
I have it, but I didn't show it in the screen. Hold on, it's loading. Law 1, everyone is conservative about what he knows best. Law 2, any organization not explicitly right-wing sooner or later becomes left-wing. Law 3, the simplest way to explain the behavior of any bureaucratic organization is to assume that it is controlled by a cabal of its enemies.
So yeah, I mean,
let's break those down.
If you kind of take a look at the way like everything just implodes eventually over a long enough timeline, it kind of explains it.
It's true.
So yeah, Andreas, what's your take on it? What's your take on the 3 laws of politics?
I was just thinking about them. I guess it's kind of true that everyone. I don't like the third law perfectly grammatically. The first law, everyone is conservative about what they know best. That's probably true. You're trying to conserve what you know, or at least culture what you know. I think trying to grow what you know is different than always conserving what you know. And a lot of people start out young. Young progressives, and young progressives are different.
Do you think that's part of gatekeeping? Like gatekeeping is conserving?
Can be, for sure. You're conserving the control you have over information, conserving other people, keeping other people from progressing outside of your control.
But what's that Chris says about tradition? What's that? I like that.
Oh, it's solutions to problems. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, what is it, Vince?
Solutions to problems we forgot we had.
Yeah, traditions or solutions to problems we forgot we had. Also, Democrats were in a position of power, so they've been trying to conserve their power. They're trying to conserve USA, conserve all the bloatware and all of that. Any organization that is not explicitly right wing sooner or later becomes left wing. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know what that means.
Why do things need a wing?
No, I think gotta be
the French government.
It can change. I think it can change, right? It can go left wing and then right wing and back to left wing and back to right wing. So I don't agree with.
I just wish things didn't have a wing anymore. That's what I'm about. I'm tired of wings. I don't want any more fucking wings.
So you're non-binary?
I don't.
You're non-binary?
Yes, that's right.
Finally.
Hey, I got a joke for you. There's only 10 kinds of people in the world. Or 10 genders of people, binary and non-binary.
Ooh.
Sorry.
All right.
Back to my pod now. Sorry.
I hate 3 things.
The revolution started out in France during Napoleon. They filled the court and they put everyone who was for the revolution on the left side, and everybody who's for, is that right? Is that correct? Hold on.
Right, everybody that was like for the crown and for the church was on the right.
The divided into supporters of the ancient regime to the president's right, and then the supporters of the revolution on the left. Yeah, exactly. So left wingers were supporting of the revolution, which was Saint-Just, and the cutting of heads off of all the old, and this new system, which was like very new. It was complete progress in the sense of we're switching how many days of a week from 7 to 10. Like they were changing everything, the amount of hours and moments in a day. Like they were changing everything about the way things were and counted, and
deconstruction.
But also saying that we're leading to God's period. We're going to use the metric system, which is the Hermetic metric system, right? This whole idea of perfect uniformity. And then there's people that supported the monarchy and the benevolent dictatorship, and they were the right wingers. And so we've been using that system pretty much ever since, right? And maybe it existed before that, but at very least at this point, we look at it like either you're for the revolution, which is what you said is the idea of a government that overthrows itself, or for sustaining, conserving who's in charge.
So the left's problem is risk management, and the right's problem is rigidity. So they struggle to change and expand, while the left struggles to
why
the
can't we just bros? Like what I'm trying to say here, when I say why the wings, is why can we not just take what we have now and keep what works and work on what doesn't?
Because
why do we need to like put a wing on them? Why don't we just come up with solutions? Because am I so naive sounding? Like, do I sound like a child? Like I'm
a little, because we don't have the answers. We don't have the answers. What do you want?
And what works? Is anything
Why
working?
The system works for the people that want it to work that way. That's why it continues to do so.
No. But Vince, you were saying like the problem with this side is that and the problem with that side is this, but it's also you have to consider like what's the problem they have with each other. Where one side is trying to like build something. Like one side will say, I'll sacrifice happiness for a generation or two to build for my family and for my clan. Meanwhile, you have the other side who's like, it's in my best interest to fuck that up for you in some way. Sure. It's like I need shit to change yesterday.
That's it. Both sides kind of fuck up the other side, right? So it's like that's the eternal battle between us.
Yeah, because then the right side's like, this is why we have guns, bro.
So how can we ever make real progress if we're always doing this wing thing? You see what I'm saying? It's not progressive.
Ironically, that's exactly what you're asking for, Jack. You're asking for the wing system because you're saying you want some things to change that people want to change and other things to remain the same. And the way you do that is by having people select issues between both groups, people that are for conserving the system and for people that want to change the system, right? I mean, it has to be that way.
We can conserve some things and progress others.
That's what
why
it
does it need to be all or nothing? That's what I'm saying.
It doesn't need to be, but it isn't. It's actually lucky for us. It almost is this time, which is why so many things are actually changing. Usually people are saying, oh, not enough things are changing. I mean, I don't know how much you pay attention to the Soviet Union's collapse through perestroika, but there was this movement of progress that they said we need to really change the Soviet Union and adapt the Soviet Union in the 80s into the 90s. And they had a thing called Glasnost, which is really similar to Doge in some ways. I mean, it was transparency. And they started trying to see the maximum openness of what the state's doing. If someone disappears, you can figure out which prison they went to, right? But also, if someone's money is going to some program, you can figure out where it went to. And eventually, this led to the collapse of the Soviet Union because they started realizing how corrupt it was, and they couldn't figure out do they want to keep trying or not, right?
The idea between left and right is that the left is trying to make things progress, and then the right, they go, hold on, we have to be careful as we do it. So the left will make progress, but in doing so, they'll overstep and make some mistakes. And
this is what's really interesting.
And I'm literally in the middle of a sentence. And then on the right, they will go, you're going too fast, we have to pull things back. And then they undo the parts that were inefficient, that were there just for virtue signaling and for symbolic gestures of goodness. And then we actually get the good and then we let go of the bad. I think it's a decent idea, at least in concept, that we're supposed to be regulating each other. The left wants to go forward, the right goes, whoa, hold on, and it's a back and forth endlessly. Should be, hypothetically.
Indeed.
It's actually ratcheting towards the right, but
pardon?
What it's ratcheting towards the right.
Yeah, I know, but it's like both sides seems to be getting more and more extreme over time, and we can't seem to like regulate each other anymore. We just go, no, this person is trying to lead us to fascism, and then we go, no, this person is trying to lead us to communism, which I guess is the end goal of both sides.
True. Yeah, I think the only thing
I don't know about that necessarily.
The only thing that's going to
think that is some people are more extreme.
Sure, but
hear from Chris. I haven't heard from Chris very much. I would like to hear from him.
I was thinking in my my guess. I'm not a really that much of a refined, educated person, but I do think the only thing that'll get us out of this whole oscillation between left and right is probably post-scarcity. I mean, I can't think of anything else. As long as we have this idea of anti-abundance, just like not having enough of something, not having enough time, energy, freedom, then we're going to have two extreme sides just fighting over how to resolve that. One side is going to say we should live for today and now only, whereas the other side is going to be like, no, we should live for tomorrow. We should save and reserve for our kids and their kids, and we should leave a better world for them so that we could progress that way. And as long as there's an agreement,
don't you? But it feels like that in and of itself, the left versus right thing is this pro wrestling theater that is scripted by opposing, non-human intelligences.
That's why Trump won. He's a heel.
To just further drive apart the top and the bottom. The top and the bottom is really, really the key operatives here. The left and the right is just kind of a costume.
I was thinking about it. I think that America is the heel in if the world is a wrestling stage, America is the heel, like Team America. They're there to make everyone hate them while they do the bidding of the globalists, basically. And then they get scapegoated going, hey, you're the ones dropping the bombs. You're the ones doing this and that. While the actual people in power just go, look, it was the Americans, not us.
They had to do it because of Russia,
Make Israel great again.
You need to have someone who's going to be the bad guy. That's the point of Watchmen, really.
Well, I mean, I vote we all just transcend the third dimension and
transition.
We just live. We just start living out of gratitude day by day. The first thing we do every day is to say thank you to God or whoever, whatever you believe. Just be grateful, And then
I was singing some Creed in my car earlier, so I'm doing that.
Yeah, it's just
well, you know what they say about capitalism. The problem with capitalism is that if you weren't born into wealth, your only capital is your labor. So automatically, your human body is now a commodity that you must sell, and if you can't sell it for enough, you won't be able to care for it, and you will lose your capital.
Until you use that body to get a little bit of capital, and then you save some money, and then you invest in yourself, and then you grow, because you don't always stay at ground level forever. I mean,
okay,
it's not that simple.
The 70s, man.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
You're right. I worked for my mom. Born disabled should just get thrown off a cliff. There's no point in trying to support them.
The Spartan way.
Exactly.
I didn't know you were a Spartan.
That is the point of modernization was to just fucking
get in the pod.
Okay, but the problem
if Stephen Hawking would, he's kind of a shill. I won't go there, but you know what I'm saying.
Look, but the thing is, the problem I have with leftism and the liberals really is that they are the party that champions retardation. Like they will literally go like mentally challenged people are important and we must protect them and uphold them and give them all this stage and stuff. But the problem is that they have no capacity to call out
retards first.
They're unable to point and
put them in the pod.
They're unable to go, that's fucking retarded. And in that inability to do so, they instead applaud as like, oh, that's so courageous. They said the retarded thing. Just no, you have to be able to go like, this is idiotic. We have to be like this.
You put it on your fridge
just because it's diverse or just because it's this or that.
When somebody does something retarded, you put it on your fridge. You say that's nice. And you look at it and you put it on your fridge, but then you go and you come up with new ideas.
And when someone's autistic and they go, I give my heart out to you, You know,
that's retarded.
Yeah,
that's retarded. We call it out though. We go, that was retarded, bro. That was fucking stupid and retarded as fuck. And
so should we be trying? But isn't so like the option is eugenics, right? Because then you're saying, okay, well, we're gonna selectively allow people. This is exactly how you end up with that part of Star Trek. We talked earlier about the Deep Space Nine Star Trek. Where
I'm calling out, just call out retardation.
Yeah,
don't eliminate it. You know,
but I mean, Star Trek eugenics war. I mean, when does that start in the show? When's the eugenics war?
Wait, first of all, we're already living through eugenics.
It was a little bit after that episode. So that episode goes down, and it leads to some changes that go down. But if I remember right, the eugenics war comes about because of that, but there was
starts in the late 90s. There was in 2022
Toronto, Jesus,
bro,
that's your territory, Vince.
Well,
you got to be careful because we're about to hit Star Trek's eugenic wars. Right now, it's the homeless San Francisco Deep Space Nine episode, and then pretty soon it's going to be the eugenics wars. And you
it's in the 30s, right? Or something.
It's already starting, man. I'm pretty sure. Is
it?
Dr. Adam Soong began experimenting in 2024.
But I mean, it's already been unfolding.
A 1996 project, and Soong went forward with the new genetic engineering project sometime after 2024, based on the original Augment project. Yeah.
Antinatalism is like eugenics. It's going. These people, we can convince these people not to breed, and then other people that aren't.
Have you noticed that they always have kids?
The only thing convincing people not to breed is unfavorable conditions to raise children in.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit because poor people breed like crazy. They have the least favorable conditions, and they have the most babies in every poor country. It's provably untrue. It's proven
untrue. That's pretty proven.
It's only in Western. It's only
the
first
in Western
5 minutes
privilege. Of Idiocracy. Hold on, the first 5 minutes of Idiocracy.
It's only Western lesbians.
It's educated people saying, "I'm gonna wait to have kids," right? And uneducated people not waiting.
Poor people.
But you're saying that giving people who can fucking give birth a right to choose whether or not to do that. Whether it's
no. I'm not talking about giving them a right or not. That's fine. What I'm talking about is convincing people and indoctrinating people into antinatalism. You can literally convince entire demographics that they shouldn't reproduce, that they should reduce their quantities globally, and that that other people that won't be antinatalists will just come in and replace them. It's true. There's no way to around it. It's like convincing a generation that they're all scum, and then they all kill themselves. You just got rid of a bunch of people, and you just basically committed genocide. Except it was their idea, so it's fine. Basically,
Gen X side. Oh my God, blew my mind, bro.
No, but honestly, I never to me that's soft genocide when you convince people to kill themselves or to stop breeding.
I don't
it has the same end result.
Yeah, I think it's evolved. I think it's evolved from calling a whole generation trash and convincing them to self-delete. And I think it evolved into convincing a whole generation that your fucking law career or your career in theater is more.
If Adolf Hitler with antinatalism, the people that push antinatalism always have kids of their own.
Some of them. But, if Hitler had, instead of rounded up all the Jews and killed them all in gas chambers, if he had gone and in schools and been like, you know what, we're all polluting too much, and we should really reduce reproduction, and then a bunch of Jews got convinced of it, and then they just didn't reproduce for 2 generations, it would have had the exact same impact as the Holocaust. So would that have been okay because it was their idea? They got convinced of it? No.
Programming?
That's psyops. It's literally psyops. That's how psyops works. It's eumemics instead of eugenics. Sorry, it's the opposite. Eumemics is supposed to be good, but it's the misuse of memes to produce an outcome that is equivalent to genocide.
I don't know. I have faith. I think people keep still having kids.
That's sadcore.
I agree. Keep having babies. I'm trying to spread this to as many people of the younger generations that I encounter. They're all like, "Oh, I don't think I want to have kids, and I don't, I think that humans are parasites and blah blah blah." And I go, "You're literally fucking brainwashed. Get some cum inside."
If you want to talk about bootstraps, guess when I pulled myself up by my bootstraps? It wasn't waiting. It was, I was having a kid. Oh God, I better pull myself out. I better take care of this kid. So
also, you're right. Like, that's what happened for me. It should happen for everyone. I agree.
I think it's part of growing up.
And if you want to not feel
why do
like
you gotta take it to that level every time? I'm just speaking from experience. You don't need to make me into a straw man, dog. You don't need to do that. I'm not saying that it's every single person.
We're agreeing.
He agreed with you. He had the experience you had.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
But still, the
shared experience, my man.
The idea that like if you feel like a parasite, feeding a baby would probably make you feel less like a parasite is a pretty.
I also want to add.
Realize that babies are parasites.
I also want to add
if you contextualize babies as parasites, people will be like, well, it's like saying Jews are parasites. Just have less of them, right?
No, I also want to add that if your relationship is like rocky and going off the rails, and it looks like you guys are gonna break up, you should just have a baby, and that generally fixes.
Oh
yeah, right.
You know,
like the best thing you could do.
That's the most terrifying. Isn't that anti-advice? That's
like 50. It's 50.
Is that completely sarcastic, or is there any truth to it though?
Only for gambler.
I'm just joking, but I'm sure there's been cases where, there's been very few
cases where it wasn't the worst possible thing that could ever happen to you or the kid.
I've known people who got their shit together because they had kids. Like they were losers who just drank all the time and party all the time.
Well, true, but like, isn't that always a horrible relationship because they're trapped in something?
And then I knew people on the flip side who said, I'm gonna have 4 kids, but I'm gonna keep being an alcoholic piece of shit who's constantly getting drunk and wasted and doing a bunch of coke. And they were the opposite. So, you know, it's 50-50.
With my 10-year-old, I was committed to being a parent, but not the person who I ended up co-parenting with. And it took a lot of therapy, and I ended up being right, lo and behold. But
don't you love that therapy?
I know.
Put her in the pod.
I always say, if you want to grow as a person, go to therapy by yourself. If you want to win in an argument for once, go to therapy with your significant other.
That works. So what I was trying to say, sorry that I got mad. What I was trying to say, the point of me bringing that up with that when I brought myself up by my bootstraps is like, so we were talking about like scarcity, right? And people like they feel like they don't want to have kids because it's a bad world to like be brought into. Like they're right at that point in time is all I'm saying, is that like it's gonna feel like that. But what I'm trying to say is that the light at the end of the tunnel is that many times that when you have kids, that scarcity that you're in starts to disappear because you work out of it. That's what I was trying to say.
Right.
But also, would you? Sorry, not to crosstalk, but Colin, did you ever find that in your pursuit of, rising to the occasion of being a provider for your kids and your kid and your family, well, soon to be kids or whatever, that the universe kind of met you more than halfway on your efforts? Did you ever find that the universe wanted to provide for your kids? Yeah, of course.
Yes, and it's interesting you say that not even having a kid yet, but when I was starting to think that I loved my wife back when we were just together, right? Like she was my girlfriend. When I was starting to think I loved her, and that I felt like the universe was conspiring, almost nudging me to get married. I had this very real sense, even though I never wanted to get married. Like I never did. I never imagined. A lot of people imagine their marriage and their wedding day, and I was not like that, And so, and so when I had a kid, it's weird. It's almost like as long as I was putting forth effort, things just kind of worked out when they needed to. It was amazing. And I would be up against the wall and I would think it's the last day, man. Like I'm going to fail. Everything's crumbling down, and it was about to, but like always at the last moment, something would occur and I'm going to stop because I don't want to get emotional. But yes, the answer is yes.
So it's like it's like synchronicity. Synchronicity ramps up the more responsibility you take on. Things fall into place.
But always, yes, always, it's always right after you wanted it the most. Like it's weird. It's like you can't give up hope because you think it's all over, and like, because it doesn't just happen easy. It's always just a little later than you would have liked, but it does work out
at the last second of the last minute of the last
right
hour.
It's always the final hour. It's 5 minutes, it's 5 seconds to midnight sometimes, but
that's the crossroad.
But it happens.
Right, that's the part in your life where you're going like, do I go the right path or the wrong path? And you choose the right path, therefore it all falls into place, And the path is
exactly that's
responsibility.
That's been my experience. I'm bearing my testimony right now. That has been my experience. Jah will provide.
I'm glad you've grown this much.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
A good evolution.
I think the universe does does conspire to find ways to support those who are the most vulnerable. God loves an idiot. Not to call children idiots, but they don't know anything. They don't have language skills. They don't have a way to interface with all the data that they're collecting. Yeah. They don't have a way to express it. So your ability to communicate something is the best way that we have to measure intelligence.
It's a good conspiracy theory.
Well, we're 2 hours deep. I mean, I want to say thank you guys for being here. And Chris, you want to close this out, Chris?
Oh, sure.
I want to say, put him in the pod. Put him in the pod. Put him in the pod.
Wow. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the pod. Thank you to the whole pod. Thank you to Pod Society, Pod Civilization, Pod Nation.
Yeah, thank you for staying out of our way. Stay in the pod.
We're in the same pod. Thank you to everyone watching.
Don't pee in the pod.
And thank you. I just
already did.
So long as I'm in this Oval Office.